Hello, I'm Mafu, and this is my top builds for Dungeons and Naheulbeuk. Every time I go up a chapter, I'm going to be doing a little segment like this, where it just shows my thoughts and evaluations of the skills and what I picked and what, I think's best. I'm playing on GZORS NIGHTMARE, the hardest difficulty. So for me, like, the build really matters. Otherwise, I'm just going to get absolutely destroyed. So without further ado, let's start off with the Ranger. So this is the skill tree. I went back to an earlier save at the beginning of chapter 3 just to show you my thought process and what passive skills I took, active skills, and the attributes I went into. So I started off by going into the Ranger can now wear heavy leather armor. Yeah, for me that was just great. Wearing more armor means I take less damage, more stats. It's just a great passive skill in general. I don't know why you wouldn't take this over these two. This one, for example, the Ranger is adjacent to the Elf. He gains 4 courage. That's really situational. You just won't use that often, especially the Elf's like ranged. He's in the back. Then for this one, if the Ranger is adjacent to the Thief, he gains 10% critical chance. Most of the time, the Thief's just off in the middle of nowhere, doing his own thing, just like in the story. And you're not going to get this unless you really go out your way to actually be adjacent to the Thief, which would be kind of counterproductive because it would just be wasting time. So from there, I went into the Ranger can now use shields and gains 5 parry. Once again, amazing. It's mitigation. I picked the Priestess as my secret character. I don't have a second tank, so the Ranger is kind of like my semi-little tank that I put up in the front. I picked it over this one. Attacks of opportunity, he can now perform 2 per turn. And this one goes into 3 per turn. Once again, it's very situational. Most of the time, if an enemy's in your face, he's not going to run away unless it's like a range or something. He's just going to stand there and be like, huh, I'm going to tank you and I'm going to hit you. So, I mean, it's good. It's situational. It's not always on like the shield is. And then this one's really good. Stuns the target if they have full health. CC, crowd control in general on the hardest difficulty is just amazing. It's just, if something's CC'd, that you knock down, stun, frozen, anything like that, they are taking more damage because they don't have the mitigation. And on top of that, they're not doing you any damage or CC or just in your face or anything. They're just out of the fight, which is amazing. This skill improves the Ranger's standard range attack. It deals double damage if the target is below 25% HP. I mean, for me, it's not my playstyle to pick something like this. It's so situational once again. It's almost like, oh, this guy's really low. I wonder if the Ranger can execute him and kill him. I mean, your Ogre probably did the same thing with one hit. It probably doesn't even need this. I mean, this will probably be right on a boss when he has massive HP. But on most of the mobs, it's just not going to do anything. So that's that. And then I go to active skills. Most people go down this line, I've noticed. Most people say, like, I'm going to take tactic protection. I'm going to take the parry, the dodge, magic resistance, physical resistance. Yeah, for me, I don't want to go into a war of attrition with the enemy because they're going to win that. They got more HP. They're tanky. Most of the time, you want to CC, you want to hit and run, guerrilla tactics, make them fight unfairly. Because if you start trying to do this blow for blow, I'm going to out-tank you thing, you're going to die. Especially on GZORS NIGHTMARE, you're going to die. And the same with this one. It's just like, it's almost like a worse version of that one. Once again, it doesn't really do anything for me. I rather just like kill them fast. And that way, if something's dead, that means they're not doing damage. That's a form of mitigation right there. So I took tactic suppressing fire. What that means is, at the beginning of the round, if you go into Overwatch, you normally have 2 shots. If you take a turn, and then Overwatch, you only have one shot. With this, you got 3 shots, literally 3 shots. So if you at the start of your turn, you go into Overwatch, you get 3 shots, and you can do that with the Priestess, the Thief, the Dwarf, the Barbarian, the Wizardess, the Elf, and the Ranger, and possibly the Ogre. And it's just, that's crazy. You're literally getting 3 attacks. So before the battle's even started, as the enemy's running towards you, doing that slow, serial killer walk towards you, they're taking damage. Like, most of them will go down to like 40% HP, 50% HP, 30% HP before they even like reach you and start the fight. So you can literally just put everything in Overwatch. Enemy comes towards you, they all drop like flies, and it's just amazing. It's really overpowered, underrated skill. Like, if you're playing on hardest difficulty, you need to take that because it's just amazing. So this is some off-camera footage I have of the Overwatch ability. So as you can see, 1 additional Overwatch attack per round. I'm going to put it on. So my range character's up again. I'm just going to go into Overwatch straight away. Put that there. 3 attacks. Once again, Overwatch. 3 attacks. Overwatch again. 3 attacks. So there we go. 1 attack. 2. Missed. The 3rd one. They've still got 2 more attacks left. So these are the second Overwatches going off now. 2 2 out of 3. These guys are almost dead before they even like got here. And there is the third Overwatch. So all from one turn, I've managed to fire 3 shots. So I've literally like annihilated them before they even got into range with me. So the combat hasn't even started yet technically. They've only just like got into my range. And once again, I can do the same with the Ranger. Put him on Overwatch, and that's 3 attacks again. Same with the Barbarian. Put him on Overwatch. Once again, that's 3 attacks. And I could probably do the same with the Dwarf if I moved them out. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, this skill on the Ranger is just insane. So versus the other picks, once again, attacks opportunity, it kind of goes back to over here again. It's just very situational. If an enemy's in your face, he's going to want to hit you. He's not going to start running away and be like, you know, oh, I better run away now because I've got really close to him. I better run. You know, it's just not going to happen. And then with the first aid skills, this one, burning cures target from burning and poison. That's okay. It's just situational. Again, this one's pretty good when they're knocked over and stunned. So obviously, if they're knocked over and stunned, your teammate can't mitigate, will take more damage, can't do anything. That just really sucks. They miss a turn. So this is kind of like a no-brainer choice here, again. Because, yeah, when something's burnt or poisoned, they can still attack, they can still heal themselves, they can still use an antidote, a burn heal. Whereas when they're knocked down, they're not doing anything. That's just really bad. So this one's better out of these two anyway. With this, the first blood, a naive hopeful strike that deals double damage on targets with full health. It's pretty good. It's really good actually, but it's just not better than anything here yet. You know, it's okay. And this one, you are buffing at the start of the round, you know, and then you're kind of like, okay, maybe I'll do another buff, but it's just a bit counterintuitive because you want to start doing damage at some point. You can't just keep going buff, buff, buff. You know, it just turns into like some weird like Mexican standoff where you just like stand there powering up for ages and then eventually you die. It just seems a bit silly. I wouldn't take a double buff on the Ranger anyway. I'd probably just take that one buff so he does at the start of the game because he has the most courage anyway. And he's always going to get that off. That's almost like a passive. It's not even an ability in my opinion. It's just a passive. It's always on. It never comes off. But that, no, it's just, you're just buffing too much. You're not putting out any damage. You're not killing stuff. So that kind of sucks. Right, and then over to attributes. So I normally try and aim for about 60 precision in Chapter 3. Just for most of the characters so I can start hitting stuff. Because when you're hitting stuff, you're killing stuff faster. And that means like you're just taking less damage in general. I consider agility a god tier stat. It raises your parry, it raises your dodge. It's just incredible. It's just such a good stat to put stuff into. So here I've got a choice between strength or agility. I think I'm just going to put it into agility just for that extra parry and dodge. Because I'm trying to turn this guy into more of a tank. And constitution, it doesn't. I mean, once again, it goes back to this. You know, you're not supposed to be taking damage. You're supposed to be CCing, hit and run. Especially, as I said, on highest difficulty, you just want to hit and run. You don't want to start doing this tanking thing. So constitution is going to do less than agility. If you can avoid a hit, that's better than mitigating damage that you've taken from a hit. So yeah, agility for the Ranger, and yeah, that's the Ranger. So this is the Elf's skill tree. I went back to an earlier save in Chapter 3, and as you can see, I went to the Elf gains 5 precision when shooting with a bow. This is a no-brainer skill. Elf's always got the bow equipped. You always have that 5 precision. It's just really good passive, solid. And then we go to here. So situational. You're never going to be next to a Dwarf. I mean, you're ranged as an elf. Dwarf's got always been in the front lines. I mean, in theory, it's cool, but no. And once again, with this one, free courage for being adjacent to the Ranger. It just, nah. It's just not very good compared to the other skills on this line. This skill is okay. As long as the elf is behind cover, ranged attacks targeting her will get additional 15% precision penalty. But once again, it's a bit situational because most of the time, those ranged or the archers on the enemy team, they're going to literally have to go really far, almost partial melee to get to your elf because your elf's going to be so far in the back normally that they're endangering themselves by doing that. So most of the time, the AI probably won't even like go for your elf. They'll just start raining arrows on your melee instead because it just seems a bit silly for them to waste all their turns to try and hit your elf in the back. So yeah, most of the time this skill's not that great. So on the tier 2. I went into right in the eye because the elf gains 3 impact for melee and range attacks. That just means more damage, and more damage is always good. Faster you kill stuff, the better. And then I went into swift-footed. Each turn, the elf automatically dodges the first attack of opportunity targeting her. What this means is if a melee comes up to you, locks you down, and you're thinking, oh damn, I can't get away, my elves are stuck there. This means you can dodge that first attack opportunity, run away, reposition yourself, and then, you know, just play a bit of cat and mouse. It's just really solid skill, that one. Amazing. This one, healthy vegan diet. The elf can no longer be poisoned. You can do that with a potion. I would not recommend wasting a passive skill point on that at all. That's just fluff. Absolute fluff. This skill's pretty good by itself. It's not as good as these two though. Right in the Eye and Swift-Footed are amazing in this tier. This skill, the elf gains 5 precision bonus when shooting with bows and has no penalties for short and long ranges. That's pretty decent, but compared to these, it's living in its shadow pretty much. These are way better damage and that dodging the first attack opportunity. So then we go to active skills. So in active skills, the first one I took was the heal. Heal's amazing on the hardest difficulty. Getting something up is just incredible, and that range, 7 tile range, is crazy. You can actually hit them from the other side of the map almost. And then after that, I went into here, which is Elven Ricochet. So a surprising shot that deals damage and ricochet up to 2 times. Each ricochet can hit anyone except allies within a 2 tile radius around the last target. So what this means is you're literally doing 3 shots for the price of 1, and you're not hitting your allies anymore because it takes away that effect. Because before with the original ricochet you can hit anything, it's really random, but with this you're literally hitting 3 times AoE on everything. So it's like a better Wazar, you know, the wizard spell, because you're doing 100% damage on each of these hits, and it's just really solid, really good. I took the heal over long shot because long shot's not very good by itself. It's okay. I mean, it's a long shot. It hits far away. 3 extra tiles compared to the normal 10 range. I mean, it's okay, but it doesn't get strong until you actually get the immobilize. Because as I said, once again, the crowd control on GZORS NIGHTMARE is just incredible. Like, if you put that on a melee and immobilize him, it means he's CC'd, because obviously if he can't get melee range with you, he can't melee you, which means it's a form of CC. That's like a soft CC. He's stunned pretty much almost. So that's good in that tier. Once again, damage isn't, unless you're playing low difficulties, damage doesn't really matter that much. CC is where it's at. This one's cool. You get 1 extra attack, but once again, it's so random. You could hit your allies, you could crit your allies and kill them. I've had that happen to me multiple times when I've been using this untalented, and it really sucks. Honestly, it really sucks. This skill's good. It's just a bit random again. It's a bit of that random kind of like elf, I'm a very random person kind of thing going on. I mean, you could combo this, the slash tendons, with your knockbacks and stuff, so they take loads of damage and stuff, make them walk a lot. But it's just, you don't know if you're going to get it. So you try and set up a game plan, you're thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to throw this on them. Oh, you get the precision penalty. Okay, that's just ruins your whole game plan. So I prefer the RNG to be based on those hits I take and the hits I make, not on my skills as well. So that's not for me personally. And then we got Cheering Kiss. Heals an ally in range, increases its protection. Its parry varies depending on the elf's charisma. I mean, yeah, it's okay. Once again, protection's not that great a stat actually. It's just that compared to dodge, that dodging an attack is way better than taking an attack. So for me, no, I'm not a big fan of that. This is actually pretty strong, to be fair, this buff. A catchy song and dance that increases target's strength, agility, and courage. So that increases their damage, increases their precision, increases their dodge, increases, like, you know, when they take their turns before the enemies. It's actually a quite solid skill. I mean, I don't think it's as good as this immobilize, but it's pretty solid depending on your play style and what you want to do. So when it comes to attributes, I just, you know, agility is just massive. It's pumped. So I'm going to start putting all my points into strength now and raising that up. So, because the elf barely ever misses anyway, and you also got the buffs on the ranger and the barbarian buffing her up, giving her more precision. So more in strength, so she actually does more damage, and just, you know, it's just perfect. That's the elf. So this is the ogre skill tree, earlier saved from chapter 3. So I'll just show you what I did. So first things first, in all the passive skills, whatever you do, just take these 2 here. So first one is, the ogre can now breach wooden reinforced doors, open the way to new treasures. Second one is, the ogre can now breach stone reinforced doors, open the way to even cooler loot. Whatever you do, just take these 2 because they're just incredible. You need them. You miss out on so much without these that they should have been like almost mandatory. They shouldn't even be a skill. Right, so compared to the rest of the stuff in the tier, I'll go along and evaluate them. So when the ogre is adjacent to the barbarian, he gains 5 impact. That's actually not too bad. It's just very situational. I don't like situational skills. I don't like trying to go out my way for it as well, so it's okay. If the ogre is adjacent to the Wizardess, he gains 10 precision. Yeah, I mean, that's never going to happen. It's going to happen very rarely, and when it does, you're not going to notice that it's happening. Yeah, you wouldn't take that. That's fluff. So then we're going to the next tier. The ogre gains 2 protection. I'm not that keen on protection as a stat, to be fair. I feel like it's okay. I'd rather dodge damage than take it. But yeah, he's got quite a big HP pool, so 2 protection might be okay. It's okay skill. And then we go to Gourmet. The food consumables have strong effects when used by the ogre or himself or an adjacent target. That's not too bad. It almost makes him like a combat medic in a way. But at the same time, it's okay. It's just not that great. And then we have Annual Buff. The ogre gains 1 physical resistance per level. This effect is retroactive. So what it does is that she just gives you a bit of magic resist and physical resistance, like down here. And yeah, in the grand scale of things, at the start it's not that strong, but later on I can see it being fairly strong because it means you can resist knockdowns, being frozen, stuns, etc, etc. This one, the ogre can now wield 2-handed hammers. I mean, the ogre does so much damage already without even like being able to wield a 2-handed hammer. So think how much damage he's going to do with a 2-handed hammer. That's that is a no-brainer skill. It's so strong. Take it, smack them about, extra stats. It's good. Right, so we're going to active skills. So in active skills, the first thing I took was a no-brainer skill. Burps. The ogre vents off toxic gas, dealing light damage to all characters in front of him and stunning them. So, you can see the radius there and the thing, 25% damage. It has I don't even think I've ever seen it really miss. I've seen it being resisted, but it's got 100% to hit most of the time. So yeah, what this does, it just stuns them, takes out the fight. You take them out the fight, you're taking less damage, you're doing more damage because they have no mitigation. Perfect, great skill, godlike. In here, we've got Swollbock. All enemies around the ogre turn toward him, get a courage penalty, and are more likely to attack him. Yeah, I mean, I personally don't want the whole world to attack my ogre. I find that just a bit random. I got tanks for a reason. I don't want everyone to kill one of my main damage dealers and CCers. So I wouldn't take that personally. So over here in the tier 2 talents, I took Kadula Apog. The ogre hits his target with his paunch, dealing damage and pushing them back 2 tiles before knocking them over. So he hits them with his big belly, he pushes them back and he knocks them over. That's CC right there again. If that doesn't get resisted, that person's out of the fight. Amazing CC once again. I'm all about the CC, the crowd control on the highest difficulty. Anything that's crowd controlled isn't doing damage once again, and it's just it's just not doing anything in general. Then we got Zogla Dulo. The ogre sniffs the air a couple times and randomly picks an enemy as his next meal. The target suffers a protection penalty. Also reveals any stealthy enemies in the effect. I mean, it's okay. It's very situational. Most of the time, I'm gonna get stealthy enemies out with my AOE spells. I'm just gonna AOE them down. Just random. I know where they are most of the time. The AI isn't that unpredictable that I need something like this. And on top of that, -10 protection. There's loads of weapons that actually ignore protection. So this just doesn't. It's just not that great really. It's just not the kind of skill I would take. And then we got this one, which is the twin to the one I took, which is Kadula Apog. The ogre hits his target with his paunch, dealing damage and pushing them back 3 tiles, so you just get 1 extra tile on that over a knockover. So it's just no-brainer. You take the knocking them over the extra tile. It's just CC, as I said, so important. I sound like a broken record now. So then we've got Granola. A pair of slaps that hits any character in front of ogre twice. Pretty good skill. At the start, not so great because the ogre, as you can see, his precision is it's on the low spectrum. It's 48. So most of the time, these 2 attacks are probably going to miss, and they're only hitting for 60% damage anyway. So you're gaining 20% more damage over your normal attack, which hits for 100. So I mean, compared to some of these other skills, I'll go into that first. This is okay, and later on it'll be alright. But yeah, and this, nah, I don't like that. I don't like taunting everything. Some ogre gets absolutely destroyed. Not about that life. So in the attributes, ogre's got massive strength, massive constitution. I've just started pumping agility because he needs more dodge. I'm giving him more dodge. He also needs more precision. So agility once again, increase the precision. So I'm going to keep pumping agility till his precision gets to a respectable amount where he can actually hit most of his shots and just start one-shotting and laying down the smackdown. So yeah, That's the Ogre. So this is the Wizardess. This is an earlier save, beginning of chapter 3. So we're looking at passive skills here. So the one I went into is Greater Astral Regeneration. The Wizardess gains 5 astral energy regeneration per turn. So what that does is it just speeds up your mana recovery pretty much. I mean, compared to that one, it was a very hard choice actually for me to make at the start, but I feel like this one's good at the beginning of the fight. You can really throw down and spell sling as much as you want, but this will actually have more gains over the course of the fight, depending how long they are. And on the highest difficulty, the fights are really long, so this will actually have more mileage on it than that one will later on. And then versus this is kind of like, if the Wizardess is adjacent to the Ogre, she gains 2 intelligence. We all know that the Wizardess is not going to be adjacent to the Ogre, unless for some reason the Ogres decide to, like, you know, come back and say hello and be like, oh, I'm going to be a backliner now instead of a frontliner. It's not happening. So then on the second tier, the Wizardess gains 50 max astral energy. I mean, it's great. You can just throw so many spells out, but once again, this has more mileage on it. You get that extra energy regeneration. So in a really long fight, this wins. In a really short fight, this one wins. So I feel like, as I said, highest difficulty, you're going to have long fights. This is going to get more mileage. Then we got Wizardess gains 5 dodge. Pretty solid skill. It's okay. She doesn't get hit that much for me anyway. Most of the time she gets hit, that's because it's kind of like an unavoidable AoE kind of thing. Just hit her or explosion or something like that. Then we go to here. And Wizardess spells gains 10% damage. That's really amazing skill. Really good. 10% more damage, flat damage, that's great, you know. But it's against that skill, Astral Reach. The Wizardess gains, spells gains 2+ to their max range. That means they get 2 extra tiles, and that's just crazy. So the further you are away, the further you can spell cast. Obviously, the less danger you're going to be in, and it's just crazy because you can just do so many more plays with it, like so much more, because you can do a really far away Wazai, you can get more slaps in from far away, you don't have to keep repositioning all the time. It's just really good. Like, if anything in tier 2, I would say take this. This is really good. It's crazy. I'd probably take this over that. This first, definitely. And then once again, I think we've got a very situational skill again. The Wizardess is adjacent to the Ogre. She gains 5 courage. No. That's just these two. No, they're really bad. So then we go to active skills. So over here, I have a choice between Globe of Thorns or Nazma Slap. So Globe of Thorns, I don't like protection stat that much. I just feel like it doesn't do enough for what it is. Then it also reflects 15% damage I take. I don't really want my allies to take damage. Most of the time I want them CC'd. Not my allies, I mean the enemy CC'd. And I'm not taking damage. So for me, that wasn't worth the magic cost compared to this one, where I can actually make plays. Form a soft CC, I knock them back, they can't reposition. I can get attacks opportunity as well. If they're surrounded by my allies, I can get everyone to smack them as they roll away. And yeah, it's just a great skill. Then on tier 2, so we've got Wazza's Whirlwind. So this increases Wazza's damage by about 20%, and it also teleports the victims randomly. It's cool, but it's, you know, compared to the second, the twin talent on the same tree, or I mean the same row, creates a wind vortex dealing area effect damage. Targets have 50% chance of being stunned. This is incredible. Like, stunning stuff is, as I said once again, crowd control is key. So if you see seeing something, it's amazing. That's probably the top pick, I reckon. Once again here, this just kind of increases its damage to 120%. Damage isn't, I don't really like damage as much. I said it's not my playstyle. If I had to pick one, it would probably be the knockover. Magic slap that deals damage. Targets push back 2 tiles and knocked over. That's CC. It's just great. I love CC. Something's knocked down, it's not doing damage. Summoning of the Killer Bunny. It sounds cool and stuff. I wished it was that cool, but it's just, yeah, it only heals the Wizardess pretty much, and it does mediocre damage at best. So it's just not as good as Wazza's Whirlwind with a stun, or as a slap. Wazza's Whirlwind's definitely god tier on this row, and then probably Nazma Slap. And then we go to Cure Minor Wounds. Advanced range spell that heals the target. Also heals the slash tendons status. Becomes more powerful, raising intelligence. Slash tendons, I mean, very situational once again. This already does it anyway, so there's just not much point. You do get a bit more healing on it, but yeah, it's not by much. About 35 more healing there. I really don't like this talent, so once again, this just increases it into a slightly less worse talent. They take 25% damage. I don't really want to get hit once again, so yeah, I won't do that. So in tributes, for the Wizardess, I just went all into intelligence, god tier stat. It doesn't increase her dodge and stuff, because yeah, she got low dodge, but it does increase her damage and her precision at the same time. It does both of them. So this, you can literally just keep pumping this, because this does it all. It slices, it dices, it does everything. So that's the Wizardess. So this is the Barbarian skill tree. I'll start with the passives. So first things first, I went straight into the Barbarian, can now wear heavy leather armor. Mitigation is key, I just took that. This skill is too situational. The Barbarian is adjacent to Ogre, he gains 5 stamina. I mean, it happens quite a lot, but it's just, I don't really like these skills so much. If the Barbarian is adjacent to the Wizard, he gains 4 impact. He's never adjacent to the Wizard, that's never going to happen. And then here, the Barbarian gains 5 precision and 5 damage when attacking with a bow. It's not too bad, it's okay. I mean, I can see why people would take it sometimes, but yeah. And then we got Tough Guy the Barbarian cannot be weakened when he loses health points. I'm avoiding my character taking damage. I don't like skills that are based on my character being low on HP or, you know, situational talents like that again. Then we got Sword Training. The Barbarian gains 10 precision when attacking with a sword. That's amazing. That's really incredible. The Barbarian, unfortunately, has a very low precision stat, so he will miss a lot. Take this, he's going to be hitting a lot more because he's just going to start, you know, pounding people. And then we've got Crom's Guts. The Barbarian gains 20 max stamina. It's okay. I don't really use that many spells on the Barbarian that much. He's just quite good at just smacking down, laying the smack down on people. So yeah, that's it for the passive skills. Then we go to the active skills. At the beginning I had a choice between Yarg, which is deal 2 consecutive melee attacks to the target. Yeah, he hits for 60% on each one. Each one has a chance of critting. That's only 20% more than what he would normally do. And because his precision stat is just so low in the first place, yeah, his accuracy is bad, and he's probably just going to miss them anyway. So what I did is I took Savage Warcry. This is amazing, this ability. I'm so glad I took it. A powerful battle cry that gives a precision bonus to the Barbarian and his nearby allies. 10 precision, it's just really solid, really good. 10 precision, that's like 10% chance more to hit. And look at that radius, look at that. That's just like the whole map. It's just really good. Like stand everyone around the Barbarian at the start of the fight, position around, and then like spread them all out afterwards, and it's just amazing. Everyone gets that. And then we're going to the second tier of the talents. Savage Warcry, powerful battle cry that increases precision and critical chance of the Barbarian and his nearby allies. Precision's cool, critical chance is a bit random again. It's just like, I could maybe do a 10% chance of having more of a critical, or, you know, I could just do 10% more damage in general. A powerful battle cry that increases the precision and damage of the Barbarian and his nearby allies. I'm doing 10% more damage no matter what. I haven't got a chance here. I don't really like RNG my abilities too much. I prefer my abilities to be just what they are. So 10% more damage, that's good. This one, a powerful battle cry that increases precision and movement of the Barbarian and his nearby allies. Movement, there's a lot of abilities that give movement. And most of the time, my play style is I bait them in, I bring them all in, and I just wait till they come to me and they just get Overwatch down. I don't want to start running to them and doing all this weird stuff. I'm just, I'm just going to play it safe. Hardest difficulty, you got to play it safe. So then, in tier 2, if you want this route, deals 3 consecutive melee attacks to the target. That's a massive upgrade above that one. That is like a, I'm trying to think now, 80% increase in damage. And once he gets more accuracy and can crit more and stuff, that'd be amazing. That's incredible, because he's just going to start smacking. That's one after the other relentlessly. This is okay. I mean, as I said, deals 2 consecutive powerful melee attacks to the target and reaches their protection. Protection is not a big deal. There's a lot of there's a lot of weapons out there that will just ignore protection in the first place. But I can see it being useful in team play and stuff. And it also increases your damage as well on both those hits. So 20% more. And then we got Rib Crusher, a kick that deals a small damage and pushes your target back 2 tiles. It's not bad, it's just, it does very low damage, and it can be comboed with the attacks opportunity of your team, but I think there's already like the Ogre and the Wizardess and stuff that can do stuff like that and knock them back, so I'm not sure if that's actually worth a point at this point. And then you got a powerful swing that hits every character in front of the Barbarian for 130% more damage, so it's an upgrade of about 50% there. It's pretty strong, it's okay. And then you also got a swing that hits every character in front of the Barbarian except his allies. So, I mean, most of the time your allies aren't really going to be in front of you like this. You can probably get away with going for this one. Because if you just plan ahead a bit, your allies aren't going to be standing where that picture says. It ain't going to be like, you know, these 3 tiles here. They're not going to be standing in front of you. But there'll be a lot of times where they are. But yeah, I mean, I would go for the 130% myself. But it depends on your playstyle once again. So the Barbarian, he has massive strength, massive constitution, quite like the Ogre once again. I just start pumping agility. It gives parry, it gives dodge, it gives accuracy, precision. So you're just hitting more, you're dodging more, you're mitigating damage, and it's just perfect on the Barbarian. And that's the Barbarian. So here we have the Dwarf skill tree from the beginning of chapter 3, earlier save. So I'll start with the passive skills. With the passive skills, I'll look over them. So long end of the stick, you get 5% more gold for selling an item and a 5% discount when buying an item. Yeah, it's cool if you're greedy, but it doesn't help you in combat. It's okay if you're on the low difficulties, I guess. The Iron Beard, the Dwarf gains 3 physical resistance and magical resistance. It looks good on paper, but you actually put it on. It's just putting everything up by 3 at the moment until I get more magical resistance, physical resistance. So it's actually, yeah. And then we got Rose of Leather. If the Dwarf is adjacent to the Barbarian, he gains 3 protection. I don't really appreciate protection as a stat. So for me, that's a situational again and a bad stat. I don't want that. And then Channeling Frustration. If the Dwarf is adjacent to the Elf, he deals 5% more damage. The Elf is always going to be sat in the back, not up front with the Dwarf most of the time, unless you can help it. So you're never going to get that bonus anyway. It looks cool, but yeah. So on the tier 1, this is the best talent. The Dwarf gains 2 max health points per level. This effect is retroactive. So it means like no matter what level you are, as long as you take this talent, it's going to work. You're just going to get those health points. So it gets 4 for now, and as I start leveling up, it keep giving me more. And it's just good because the Dwarf is your tank. He's your main tank most of the time unless you pick the Paladin. So it's just a great skill to take. So we go to tier 2. Long angle of the stick. You get 10% more gold for selling an item and 10% discount. It's literally an upgrade to that. It's okay once again, low difficulties. Mithril Beard, the Dwarf gains 3% physical resistance and 10% magical resistance. So it's just a little upgrade on that again. And this one's the opposite. So, I mean, these could be worth it in the long run once you got a bit more, but I'm not a big fan of those. Then we go to the Dwarf, regains 10 health points per turn as long as he's standing on the beard tile. Really situational once again. I wouldn't take this personally, but yeah. Then we've got Stone Stance. The Dwarf gains 10 parry and cannot be knocked over when in defensive stance. So that's okay. It's just very situational again. You're probably going to be attacking more than being in defensive stance. I mean, killing stuff is better than taking damage. So unless you really have no choice and you have to turtle up, then you're going to use defensive stance then. So in this tier, taking Stoneborn 2, which is the upgrade to this one, gives you 4 max points per level. This effect is retroactive. I would take that in tier 2. Then we head over to active skills. In the active skills, I have a choice between Tin Can and Gödel's Whirling Wallop. So a spin attack that hits every tile around the Dwarf, does 70% damage and has quite a big tile radius. And then we got Tin Can, raises the Dwarf's parry chance and gives them 2 additional attacks of opportunity. That is really, really good. But the reason why I took this one first is because like I really wanted the CC from this next bit here. So a spin attack that hits every tile around the Dwarf, it also increases damage by quite a lot, by about 50%. But this one hits every tile around the Dwarf, targets a 50% chance of being stunned. That's really good. Once again, crowd control, so good. It's just a no-brainer. So eventually I'll take that as well, because that's really good. Because you can just slam in the front and making this unmovable fortress of doom. So that is just amazing. Give him 2 extra attacks of opportunity. That means he's got 3 in total if someone tries to move out of his iron wall. The taunt's good as well. An inspired taunt that discourages your target, turns them towards the Dwarf and incites them to attack him. That's really good. I mean, if someone's about to really like smack about your back line, or you really need someone to like just not CC your Ogre or something like that, yeah, getting a taunt onto your Dwarf, that's great, because then you just know that target is only going to be hitting the Dwarf then, and not anything else. You don't have to prepare for that, or any sort of backstabs and all that kind of thing. Then we got Thunderfire Charge, a formidable charge that inflicts more damage the further it travels. The Dwarf probably has like the lowest movement speed out of all the characters almost, and kind of like tile movement. But in general, I feel like the taunt, the Tin Can ability, and the stun is just they shadow this so badly. They overshadow it, I mean. Because this is great, mobility is cool, but it's just not as good as those other abilities for now. Yeah, and then stats. Dwarf has high constitution, his strength's okay, and it's agility again, because once again, pump that agility, that gives him parry, that gives him dodge, and then on top of that, he gets more chance to hit, because his precision is actually quite low, it's below 60%, or 60, and yeah, it just needs to be pumped up, and yeah, that's the Dwarf. So this is the Thief's skill tree from an earlier save in Chapter 3, so I'll go over the skills again. So tier 1, we got Expert Diffuser, higher chance to summon traps during combat and exploration. For me, yeah, I took that. I just thought like there'd be loads of traps, and yeah, to summon traps just really destroy your game plans and stuff. So to summon traps is really awesome. Lone Wolf, if the thief has no adjacent allies, he gains 5% critical chance. That is really strong actually for situational skill. Most of the time the thief is going to be by himself, and when he attacks stuff, there's not going to be anyone flanking with him or behind him, or shooting with a bow next to him. So that's pretty good actually. Then we got Better Safe Than Sorry. The thief can now wear heavy leather armor. I mean, that's pretty decent. It's really decent on everyone pretty much. Most of the time my thief, I don't have him in the front lines too much, but it does help to mitigate the damage from range attacks and stuff, because he will be taking those hits here and there, because they like to pick on him, unfortunately. Then we got a tier 2. Bomberman. The bombs the thief uses are more powerful and have additional effects. I actually quite like Bomberman. I like the effects it does. I like what it brings to the table, utility wise, and just yeah, I just think it's quite a solid skill actually. Then if the thief has no adjacent allies, he gains 10% critical chance. Unfortunately, you have to take that one first to go into that. So yeah, it's pretty good though. So this situation talent's actually really strong. Then we got a 0.25 critical damage multiplier, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's actually quite big if you are getting critical hits, that is. So once he's got a high enough critical hit chance, then it's actually quite good. And then we got the thief gains 1% critical hit chance, and yeah, it's just I think that kind of pales in comparison to this one, because most of the time you're going to have that, the no adjacent allies, and he's going to do lots of damage most of the time. Yeah, it's just 1% is not a lot on the grand scale of things. Right, so we go to active skills and we have a look here. So my choices were between stealth and caltrops. So I see a lot of people like complaining that the thief is really weak and he's not doing any damage and he dies too quick, and you know, he's just a bit rubbish in general. I think yeah, just don't take stealth. Stealth's like, it looks really cool. You could be like assassin, really stealthy and stuff, but it doesn't really do much at all compared to caltrops. Caltrops is a form of soft CC. It does a bit of damage, but literally the main thing is if you throw that on a melee character, it's got a really good range on it as well, 6 tile range on that, or 6 yard. You throw that on a melee character, they can't, you know, they can't hit you because you've just CC'd them pretty much, unless they have a bow or something. And yeah, but most of the time you throw that on a melee character, they're literally, that's just counts as stunned. That's just really good utility there. Then it upgrades into immobilizes and poisons your target in the tier 2 bracket. That's pretty good. Poison scales to the HP of the target, so you throw that on the boss, that's actually doing quite a lot of damage, that poison. And it's a 3-turn cooldown, so it's actually, yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty strong. This one, range or melee attack, deals more damage and immobilize your target, and it does not interrupt stealth. It's just, I don't even have stealth, so it wouldn't help for me. And if I did have stealth, I wouldn't really care if it did interrupt stealth that much, unless I'm really wanting my rogue to be invisible the whole fight. It's just... and not do anything, because most of the time I'm going to be like shooting my bow, my crossbow, whatever. I'm just not going to have him in stealth the whole fight. So then we've got Sneaky Strike, a powerful vicious poison attack that only works if the target's facing away. It's pretty strong. Poison's actually okay. It scales with HP and stuff, so you hit that on the boss, that does a lot of damage. Also reduces the cooldown as well on the Sneaky Strike to 3 instead of 4, so it comes up a lot quicker. This one, yeah, it's just a powerful vicious attack only works if the target's facing away. Once again, they have to be facing away first. So by the time they're facing away, you're going to immobilize them. It's just a bit like, I probably could have done something else, or just gone for a normal attack or something like that. I would probably go for the poison over that, just so I could just, you know, because you have to mobilize and then run away so they don't start hitting you. Yeah, I don't know. And then you got aim for the heels, a vicious attack that aims for the heels, inflicting the slash tendon status on your target, dealing damage to them for each tile of movement. So this is actually okay. It's actually good combo skill. So you put that on, you smack them away with your Ogre or your Wizardess with a slap or a push, And then they have to run back to you, take damage, and then it's taking just tons of damage and bleeding everywhere. It's actually quite cool combo skill. Then we've got Poison Bolt, a poison crossbow bolt that poisons your target. So it's got a fairly nice range on it, 6-yard range. Gives the thief something to do while he's walking towards his target or sprinting towards him. And it also poisons. It's fairly good damage. It's okay. It's not too bad. It's not as good as like some of the other talents here, like the Sneaky Strike and the Caltrops and stuff. But I think it's pretty decent. Yeah. And yeah, and then the tributes. So we can look at the tributes. So the thief, his precision actually isn't too bad already. It's actually quite high. So I'm just going to put that up there to about the 60 cutoff point I normally go for in the beginning of the Act 3. And then I'm just going to start like pumping into damage. Just give him a bit more damage. Just so he hits harder with his bow, with everything. Because the strength and the impact doesn't just affect melee. It also affects his range attacks as well. So yeah, I'm just going to do that. And that's literally, yeah, how I would personally spec the thief. So this is the Priestess skill tree. This is the character I picked to play with instead of the Bard and the Paladin. So I'll start with her passive skills. So this is, as I said, this is the beginning of chapter 3, early save. So this is probably not how I would have built myself, but I'll just go over them anyway. So Heartthrob of the Masses, the Priestess is adjacent to the Barbarian, the Ranger of the Thief. She gains 2 charisma. Not that keen on charisma as a stat, so I wouldn't have picked that. Brainstorm, the Priestess adjacent to the Wizardess. She gains 10 astral energy regeneration per turn. That's actually not too bad because the Priestess and Wizardess for me are normally quite close to each other, or most of the time adjacent. So it's actually not too bad for a situational skill. And then we got the standard ones like you have in the Wizardess. Like the Priestess gains 5 astral energy regeneration per turn, and then you also have the Priestess gains 25 max astral energy. So this one's actually better in shorter fights, this one's better in longer fights, this one gets more mileage out of it over a long fight. You're playing on hard difficulties, this one is the go-to because your regen will be so much better. Going to tier 2, the Priestess regains 25 HP when she goes into her defensive stance. That's actually okay, it's actually fairly strong. But once again, like you're like not being able to attack if you do that. So sometimes, or if you're playing on hard difficulties, you're just going to get one shot anyway. Like you're just going to go into that, they're going to walk up, you're going to regain a tiny bit of HP and they go BAM! 50 damage to your face and you're dead. So we look at this one, lead from the back. When the Priestess is behind cover, range attacks targeting her, get a 15% additional penalty to precision. So like the Elf and the what I said earlier, it's quite situational. A lot of time the ranged people will have to run at you, get close to your melee and then start firing shots at you. Most of the time they're going to just go for your melee. But because the Priestess, she's better in kind of like a mid-rangey kind of like damage rather than far back like the Elf. This is actually better on her than it is on the Elf. So yeah, it makes it more viable for her. Then here again, we got the upgrades to Astral Regeneration. So this gives 10 instead of 5, and this one gives 50 instead of 25. Once again, this is better for the start of the fight. You can spell sling to your heart's content, but this has got mileage on it. This for longer fights and stuff. This will give you the extra mile. You know, you get your skills up faster. You be like, oh, when's that skill coming up? Or when can I not your skills, I mean your regeneration. When can I cast this spell now? And you have to wait loads. And yeah, with this, you just it'll come up a lot faster, and you're obviously gonna eventually like 5 turns. You've already got that, and after 5 turns, you've already got your 50 energy back, and then you got more. Most fights aren't over in 5 turns. Well, mine aren't anyway. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but so then we go to active skills, and then with this one, I moved this over to here actually with respec, because with the Euclides in a piece, a temporary protection by Euclid, which raises the target's protection charisma. I'm not a big fan of protection. I'm not a big fan of charisma. I don't see it worth casting most of the time, so I just got rid of it. So with the Euclideans lightning chain, it's literally like the elf's ricochet almost. It's a bit random, but it literally deals damage to a target before spreading to all adjacent characters, allies, or enemies. So what it does, it's almost like a lightning conductor thing. So you fire it on someone, and it's just going to hit the allies nearby that are adjacent to them, rather than just go everywhere. So it's actually really strong, that skill, really good. Then we go to the heal. The heals just kind of came with the character anyway. Healing's great. And then in tier 2, we're looking at the heal prayer to Euclid, which likely heals the target range and raises the protection. Also cancels knocked over, stunned, and immobilized. That is probably the go-to if you wanted to take more healing, because it upgrades it by 25 more heal, which is like, it's not too bad. And then this one Cures burning, frozen, and poisoned. Personally, I'd rather cure my allies of immobilization being knocked over and stunned, so can actually have their turns and not just get wailed on and die. Then and then these, because the burning and poison isn't so bad. Frozen's quite bad, but burning and poison, that's manageable. I can just take a potion for that, or just kind of tank through it a bit. Then we go to Euclideans, I cannot pronounce that. Detox Cure, a Divine Wind that cancels all status and alterations of the target. That's really good. It's just like a nice dispel. Something's on the ground, you get that up. Something's stunned, you can take that off. Something's poisoned, something's frozen. It's really good. It's got a low cooldown as well, 2-turn cooldown. Doesn't cost that much astral energy, only 30. Yeah, so it's actually pretty decent, to be fair. Then on here, once again, this is just the upgrade to the ability I don't like in the first place. Just increases your charisma, your protection. I'm not a big fan of charisma. I'm not a big fan of protection as far as stats go. So yeah, I wouldn't get that personally. And then we got Euclide's Blessing, a divine blessing that increases the strength. Increases the courage, strength, and intelligence of all allies in the area of effect. So this has actually got a really big radius on it, as you can see in that picture down there. If I can quickly get down there, yeah, you can see like that's massive. So you can just you just put it in the middle before the fight starts, and then bam, everyone's buffed, everyone's got strength, everyone's got intellect, everyone's got loads of courage. Yeah, it's actually pretty strong. It's pretty good. I would recommend that. It's definitely very strong, that. So yeah, over to attributes. So once again, kind of like the Wizardess, she's just got a main stat you just want to pump. So for the Wizardess, it's obviously intelligence. You just put that intelligence up and she gets like, everything. For the Priestess, it's charisma. So she gets damage, she gets accuracy, she gets more support bonuses and stuff. She just gets like a massive amount of utility from that charisma stat. So it just, it does everything for her. It does her precision, does her damage. So you just pump charisma on the Priestess and you're sorted pretty much. And that's the Priestess. So guys, that is the end of the top builds of Dungeons of Naheulbeuk. I'm Mefru, and yeah, if you like what we saw, give me a like, give me a subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.